Requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being webcast on Comcast TV channel 15 and live streamed on the city's YouTube channel at https://www.youtube.com/user/City of Hayward and on the city website at https://hayward.legistar.com/calendar.aspx. The mayor will call upon members of the city council, city staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they state their names before giving comments or remarks. Individuals participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. City council members and members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature, and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Members participating via teleconference wishing to speak should dial *9, and they will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organizations, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by email at list-mayor-council@hayward-ca.gov, city clerk@hayward-ca.gov, or via e-comment by 3 p.m. will be distributed to the city council and staff, published on the city's meeting and agenda center under documents received after published agenda, and entered into the record. Documents received after 3 p.m. through the adjournment of the meeting will be included as part of the meeting record and published the following day. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date. Public members wishing to speak with the City Council can send an email to list-mayor-council@hayward-ca.gov or cityclerk@hayward-ca.gov.
Thank you. And with that, I would like to call this meeting of the Hayward City Council to order. And I will ask Councilmember Angela Andrews to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam City Clerk, can you put the flag image up on our screen?
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Councilmember Andrews. Thank you. Councilmember Lamnin.
Present.
Councilmember Marquez.
Present.
Councilmember Salinas.
Present.
Councilmember Wahab.
Here.
Councilmember Cermeño.
Present.
Mayor Halliday.
Here.
Thank you.
So now comes something I'm really happy to do, and that is make a special presentation and issue a proclamation in honor of Black History Month, which is the month of February, and which our library in particular will be celebrating with a number of events Hayward has a strong African American history. Has strong African American history roots here, including certainly Russell City and its legendary blues environment that we try to replicate through our Russell City Blues Festival, which wasn't held this year, of course, but I think it will come back perhaps in a somewhat different form in the future. And I hope we can continue to do things to remember Russell City in particular. But we have many other things that in Hayward that we can celebrate and point to in marking Black History Month. And so with that, I will just go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas the importance of Black history in our nation's history was first honored with a week-long celebration starting in 1926 and expanded into a month-long celebration as Black History Month or African American History Month during the nation's bicentennial in 1976. And whereas Black History Month celebrates the achievements of Black Americans and pays tribute to the central role of African Americans in the United States history, and whereas the Association for Study of African American Life and History that organized the first celebration in 1926 has selected Black family representation, identity, and diversity as the theme for 2021. And whereas in line with this theme, there will be a series of events sponsored by the Hayward Public Library throughout the month, including a writing and 2D art contest, My Voice, My Experience, the Black Family Experience in Hayward. That's for teens. And I would encourage people to check the website, the library website, and tune into some of these events as we together celebrate this rich history that we have here in Hayward and throughout our country this coming month. So I, therefore, Barbara Halliday, do hereby proclaim February 2021 as Black History Month in the city of Hayward and urge its recognition, participation, and support by all residents. And to accept this this proclamation, I believe that we have the, well, first I see our library commissioner, Bridget Lowe. I see your face there, but I am told that we are actually presenting this proclamation to your husband, Elgin Lowe. Is Elgin with us? I don't.
No. I'm going to accept on behalf of the NAACP.
You are going. Okay. All right. Then thank you. I'm sorry. I got a little bit wrong there. I understand he is the vice president. Of course, we have Freddie Davis is the president of that group. We have a good working relationship with her. We just actually, I'm very proud of the Martin Luther King event that we were able to had to hold virtually this year. But I think in the end, it was a good program. And if you haven't seen it, it is still available, I believe, on our YouTube channel. So Bridget, thank you for being here to accept this proclamation this evening, and on behalf of this South County NAACP chapter. And please go ahead if you would like to make some remarks.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Halliday. So thank you to the mayor and the city council members and the community members. On behalf of the president, well, first of all, I'm Bridget Lowe, as the mayor said. On behalf of the president, executive committee, and the members of the Hayward South Alameda County NAACP, I would like to convey my sincere appreciation and gratitude for this recognition of Black History Month. It is so important to celebrate the contributions that African Americans have made throughout history and to our community. We are grateful to live in a city which welcomes and appreciates diversity and the contributions of all of its citizens. Our esteemed president of the Hayward South Alameda County NAACP, Ms. Freddie Davis, has conveyed to me that she plans to reach out to you, each of you, in the near future to express her appreciation, her sincere gratitude for this proclamation. It is truly, truly my pleasure to accept this proclamation on behalf of the NAACP. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I hope that everyone will certainly check out our library, the library offerings that, of course, will have to be virtual, but that we'll have this year. I see our library director, Ms. Adelman, has joined us. So, Genti, did you want to say a few things?
Thank you, Mayor Halliday, and thank you, City Council members, and thank you, my Library Commission Chair, Bridget Lowe. This is a real honor, and we always, every year, we celebrate Black History Month with great pride. We acknowledge the wonderful contributions of African Americans in the history of the United States. And also in Hayward, it's a fascinating and very rich history, the contributions of Black Americans in this area. All of Alameda County, but Hayward especially, has a very, very, very warm and heartfelt relationship with all of our Black and African American residents. And I'm really proud that we're able to have this celebration and all the wonderful things the city has planned to do, and the library also. And I hope people will participate, come to our website, and on our various social media sites. You can find out about all the lovely things we have planned. So I'm really excited. Thank you very much.
Yes, and we are operating in these strange virtual times. This is what I have right now in terms of the proclamation. However, it will be presented, sent to the NAACP, I promise, it's truly elegant form that we usually do, and you should be getting that soon. And I truly look forward to next year when perhaps we can actually celebrate more at the library and with events, maybe even throughout the city, celebrate this month, this particular History Month together in person rather than virtually. But great job for this year, and thank you all for participating, and look forward to participating in some of the library events this month. I hope everyone will. Great, thank you, everybody.
Mayor?
Did we have the roll call?
Councilmember Andrews has a comment.
Mayor, I like to make.
Or I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I was looking at the agenda. I think
we did, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Councilmember, for that. I just wanted to thank the mayor and staff and all those who had input in the proclamation, especially our library director. I know she's been working really hard to line up a lot of events for our community. So I really appreciate all her efforts. And yes, Black History Month should be celebrated every month. And our history is everyone's history. So I just wanted to say that. And I hope this year, especially this year, people take the time to learn about our community, but also when they learn, take action, do whatever moves you to make this world a better place. So I just want to say thank you so much again for all your hard work, and appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'd echo that. And thank you for your remarks, Councilmember Andrews. Anyone else? Councilmember Salinas.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, acknowledge the good words that Councilmember Andrews mentioned. Diversity is not a February month only thing, right? Latino Heritage Month isn't only a September thing, right? And I have to say that the city of Hayward, in addition to its long history of families in the city, we also have a very rich tradition in ethnic studies in the city of Hayward. Chabot College was one of the very first community colleges in the state to have an ethnic studies program, and where you have African American studies, Latino studies, Asian American studies, Native American studies. And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I did not include California State University, East Bay, where also has a very robust African American studies program. So in addition to families and community and neighborhoods, we've also had a very long history of ideas and producing and generating ideas in academia. So this is certainly a great time. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wahab?
Definitely. Thank you. I just want to congratulate the fact that everyone who was involved in this proclamation. Mayor, I do appreciate you always acknowledging it in the month of February and throughout the year as much as we can, celebrating our diversity. And to our director, library director, you have always been extremely helpful, extremely going above and beyond to reach out to different communities, making sure. I know that was one of the first conversations we had, is to diversify the programming in our Hayward library. So I do appreciate that. To the NAACP, a lot of the work, you guys are extremely active. So I definitely appreciate just the activism that you guys have, for sort of decades have had, not only locally, but nationally. I also just want to highlight, and I feel like I should have said it last week, but to the first African-American / Asian Vice President of the United States, not only being a woman, but also a woman of color. I think that these are, when we talk about breaking ceilings, this is very much a highlight of that. I want the public to understand that there is room for everybody in this country, and that's what makes this country beautiful. So again, it's a beautiful month, and I hope that everybody enjoys Black History Month this month. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. That was a moment of pride for so many of us on January 20th when we saw Vice President Harris take that oath of office. Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share a few words. Thank you, everyone involved with the proclamation. Thank you to our library director for organizing so many great programming. For those of you that don't receive their newsletter, please subscribe to get it. There's a lot of good content, and look out for that information on social media. Also want to acknowledge my colleague, Councilmember Angela Andrews. We celebrate you as well. I know we've said it before, but it's really amazing to have you be our first Black African-American woman on Hayward City Council, and look forward to continue to work with you. And I think the city of Hayward, we've always been a community that's been open and inclusive and diverse, but that doesn't mean we don't have our issues, right? I really hope we can start looking at each other just as, respect each other and get to know each other more on a deeper level so we can treat everyone equally. I'll just share on a side note, I live in South Hayward. I've lived here my entire life, but I went to school for many years at Fairview. So for those of you that have lived here, remember the 77 bus, AC Transit, which connects South Hayward to Kelly Hill. So there's these connections in our community where we get to learn about different communities, different religious beliefs. And I encourage all of you to ride public transportation, visit other neighborhoods, and get to know people from different parts of the world. That's what makes Hayward unique. Like I said, we have our share of issues, but if we all take the time to kind of stop and have a better understanding of what it's like to live in someone else's experience, maybe we could be more compassionate and sensitive. So just want to state that, and hopefully we can move forward with this new year with that perspective. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, well, thank you all, and look forward to receiving the real proclamation soon, Ms. Lowe, and checking out our library offerings this year, and looking forward to next year where we can celebrate more fully and more together. So with that, thank you. I'm looking at the agenda and thinking I may have skipped some things. Did we have the roll call, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
We did have the roll call. Okay, all right. But I don't believe we had the closed session announcement, correct?
That's correct.
So, Mr. Lawson, can you give us the closed session announcement?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Closed session convened at 5:30 with all members present. The Council discussed the one item that was posted regarding property and took no reportable action. The Council also added two items that came to the attention after the agenda was posted. The Council added those two items unanimously pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2, subsection B, subsection 2. Both items dealt with potential litigation, and Council discussed and took no reportable action. That concludes the report.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will now move to public comments. These are comments from members of the public on items not on the agenda this evening. And I do see we have 2 hands raised from members of the public, Madam City Clerk. So I'll open public comments.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'll just confirm if those 2 individuals wish to speak on public comment. So this is the opportunity to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. And if that is correct, please keep your hands raised. And I believe that's the case. So, okay.
One of the hands went down.
Now we have 1.
Okay.
Jesse Gunn. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. I wanted to talk about last week at the Hayward Unified Board meeting where it was discussed the conclusion of many discussions regarding the SRO program, and it was ultimately rejected. So they were no longer doing the SRO program. That does lead, well, first of all, I want to congratulate them on moving beyond the conversations that we've been having and moving to action. And so I really appreciate that they were able to do that. And I think this was a great moment. What I would like to see is that since the city council or the city itself does have a stake, I believe about $1.2 million into the SRO program, I would like to see those funds reallocated to mental health support for our youth and for social services for our youth, specifically in preventative measures. I would like to see more of an outreach for trauma-based therapy with our youth. And so I would like to see something along those lines continue. I would hate to see that $1.2 million stay within the police department and just go towards having, more policing done in our lower income neighborhoods. So I do think that's something we need to do. Particularly one of the sticking points, as the district was talking about this, was the connection between SROs and the Youth and Family Services Bureau. Having that housed within the police department was a major sticking point among many parents, teachers, and students. And so I do think the council should continue to look into separating that away from the police. And maybe this $1.2 million would help ease that process along. In a completely unrelated matter, I would just like to also point out that as you know, I live here in Hayward, in South Hayward. My neighbor just recently moved, and I have already heard that apartment that he has moved from is now going to be renting for $300 more than the previous tenant was paying. It's fully legal. It's fully okay for the landlord to charge that amount, but I just thought you could use a man on the street perspective on how rents are not declining in Hayward and how they are continuing to go up even during a pandemic. And as an aside, that person was moving because they found cheaper rent in another city. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you so much, Council, and thank you for all you do and all your considerations.
Thank you. And I know we're having a discussion and about to launch a whole process really of looking at the police and how we're providing policing services in accordance with the kind of months-long endeavor. So appreciate your comments and expect, Mr. Gunn, that you will be, continuing to contribute to that discussion. Okay. And I think Councilmember Lamnin, did you have a comment you wanted to make? I don't see any others from the
Yes.
Madam City Clerk. Do we?
Yes.
We do have another comment, don't we?
Yes, we have.
Can we go ahead with that, and then we'll come back to you, Councilmember Lamnin?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. We have Deborah. Go ahead.
Hi. I know this is Deborah's phone, but I'm Deborah's husband. And my name is Joseph Marino, and I work at St. Rose Hospital. I'm the manager of the pulmonary department. And I just want to thank Kelly McAdoo and whoever else was behind getting us our ventilators. So I have been at St. Rose Hospital for 25 years, and we have never had brand new ventilators. And we received 4 of the 15 ventilators today, and they will be put into service next week, and they are sorely needed. So currently, all of our ventilators are in use on COVID patients and a couple of non-COVID, but mostly COVID patients. And we have been, really just getting by with every ventilator on every patient. So this is couldn't come at a better time. So I don't want to take up all your time. I just wanted to say thank you very much. We are getting 15 brand new ventilators, and it has never happened in my 25 years. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the comment, and also thank you for your work at St. Rose Hospital, which I'm sure is challenging right now, and we just we're grateful that people like you are stepping up to care for people who have become ill. Madam City Manager, did you want to make any comments about that?
I just wanted to say, we were able, in talking with the CEO of the hospital, they had a need for additional ventilators, and we were able to find some CDBG dollars that were going to go unused for capital expenses, and we're able to help St. Rose purchase those ventilators with those funds, which I thought was very much a critical need right now. So happy to hear that they're there and going into good use. And thanks to my team for obviously quickly pivoting as always and trying to figure out how we are creative and make things happen.
Well, thank you for, it's great that we found such a good use for that money, and that's how it happens sometimes. And I think that speaks to having ongoing good relations with our partners in the city, and one of them is St. Rose Hospital. So thank you for that. I see we have some other council members that want to comment now too. Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you. Just wanted to quickly follow up on Mr. Gunn's comment to let the public know that Thursday at 4:30, the Hayward Local Agencies Committee will also be talking about the school resource officer issue. That is a joint committee of the school board, the city council, and the recreation district, and continuing conversations also is related to COVID issues and so on. So welcome. That meeting is open to the public as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zermeño.
There you go, unmute. Yes, as a member of the St. Rose Foundation, I thank our city manager, Kelly McAdoo, and our city staff, and also Mr. Joseph Marino for pointing out the fact that we do support our community hospital 100%. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
Yeah. One, thank you to city staff who has worked on this, to our city manager, obviously, for definitely doing a lot of things that, we don't even have to vote on. So, it's just a good team effort on that. I personally also just want to highlight some good work that has also been taking place in our city that is not as highlighted. So I personally, again, want to give a big congratulations to our fire department and our fire chief for standing up our vaccination site. Not only have they been working extremely hard on our just COVID testing, which we know that we provided the first in the nation free testing site, which we're incredibly proud of, but also just the vaccination piece of it. Not only that, but our fire department is not only focused internally on our residents as a priority, but they are also standing up the vaccination plans for the entire county. So they have huge efforts throughout the county, especially with our fairgrounds and so forth, I don't think it's highlighted enough. So I personally just want to congratulate our fire department, our fire chief on these efforts. The more people that we can get vaccinated, the better. I will say that there have been many, many seniors that have gotten their vaccination shots, and the city of Hayward, as well as our fire department, has been paying attention to equity and making sure that we do reach out to diverse communities. So it's not just what the media is reporting, but Hayward is making an effort in that regard. The feedback from the individuals that have been getting their vaccination shots have said not only has it been extremely easy to set up an appointment at whatever time that they prefer, number one. Number two is that the process, even though there's many, many people waiting in line, they feel pretty safe. People are socially distancing themselves. The process is pretty quick. And everybody that is working at our own South Hayward site is being very polite, very patient, very kind. And I have heard literally nothing but positives about the experience in Hayward. That is incredibly something that all of us should be proud of. But again, congratulations to the fire department for actually doing the work. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Chief Contreras, I see. Would you like to follow up that comment with comments about what's happening there at the clinic?
Sure. I think much to the city manager's comments, we pride ourselves on hearing what council and city manager and the executive team, what the priorities are for the community. And so we have been able to capture from an equitable standpoint. It is important even now in a public setting to remind folks that they will be queued to the site. We have a lot of really diverse lists and appropriate in the bands. So we definitely don't want to be overrun by folks doing drop-bys or anything. We have a real methodical process and a great scheduling tool to prevent being overcrowded and having long lines. But do really appreciate the comments and the really amazing work of our personnel and our nonprofit partners, the community-based organizations that are helping us with our list, the folks that are creating those lists for us to create the equitable access is really something the community should be proud of. And the dashboard that we create every night to see the impact on the community from a health equity standpoint is quite profound and something we're really proud of. So thank you for the kind moments. I wasn't expecting that, but I do want to encourage everyone, wait till you get the message. Don't overwhelm us, because we do have that fear, because there's been so much of that throughout the county and the region. We don't want that kind of black eye for Hayward. But thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So with that, if there aren't any other public comments from council or the public, we're now going to move on to our action items. Madam City Clerk, are there any members of council, or were there any members of the public, Madam City Clerk, who wanted to pull any of the consent calendar items off? That would be items 1 through 4.
Madam Mayor, I don't see any requests to speak from members of the public on any of those items. And this would be the opportunity for them to raise their hand, to use the raise hand feature if they wish to speak on any items from 1 through 4. That's the consent calendar. This is the time.
Okay, and meanwhile, I'll entertain Council Member Wahab, who has her hand up.
Yeah, I'll move the item.
Okay, is there okay, and I don't see any hands going up from the public. So, okay, items 1 through 4 have been moved by Council Member Wahab, seconded by Council Member Marquez. Madam City Clerk, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Yes.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
Yes.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes. Yes, and I'm going to add that on item number 4, which has to do with grant funding from the federal government for creation of defensible space in the Hayward Hills project in the amount of about $21,000 for basically providing information to people. I'm not even sure if I know that I live near, this is in the Ward Creek area that this funding is being used, and I do live fairly near the Ward Creek Trail, so I may be in that area. But I did discuss this earlier with the city attorney, and I think this is a situation where, if indeed I am within this property that will be served, I would not be receiving any benefit different from any other property owner in the area. So I went ahead and voted in favor of this, and I just wanted to make that disclosure. Okay. With that, we're going to move on to item number 5, which is a public hearing item regarding the Old Highlands Homeowners Association Prop 218 hearing to receive and tabulate property owner ballots regarding the formation and levying of assessments for the Old Highlands Area Road Improvement Assessment District. And so we will be hearing from our Public Works Director, Mr. Ameri, on this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Garcia, our Deputy Director of Public Works, who's been working on this project. Kathy?
Me share my screen here for a presentation. Here we go. Let me start the presentation here. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. This is the second public hearing for the Benefit Assessment District for the OHA Pavement Improvement Project. The streets in the OHA, in the Old Highlands Homeowners Association, also known as OHA, consists of 6.2 miles of road that have not been maintained since the annexation in 1963. City staff has been working with the OHA board and the property owners for many years and have agreed upon terms for a benefit assessment district to fund the project. The terms are as follows. The roadways will receive full depth reconstruction. The work is to be funded by the city and the property owners at a 50-50 allocation. The pavement improvements will take place over a period of 5 to 6 years. The property owners will pay over a 20-year period, with the city providing the initial funding. 2 or 3 streets will be treated each year and will be included with the city's annual pavement improvement project. The OHA board will select the priority of streets. There are approximately 320 properties within OHA. The assessment for a property with a single dwelling will be $665.50 per year. Properties with multiple dwellings will assess for more, and vacant properties will assess for less. These amounts are detailed in the engineer's report. All deferred improvement agreements will be void upon approval of the assessment district. This is a map of the OHA area. If the assessment is approved, Tribute Avenue and Kotati Street will be included with this year's annual pavement project, which is scheduled to begin this spring. The first public hearing was held on December 8th, 2020. At that public hearing, the council adopted resolutions to initiate proceedings pursuant to the Streets and Highways Code and Proposition 218, to approve the preliminary engineer's report, approved mailing of the ballots and adopted the Proposition 218 assessment ballot proceedings, and set the date for the second public hearing for February 2nd, sorry, that's a typo there, 2021, February 2nd. The engineer's report is required by Proposition 218, which includes the description of service, the cost of service, the assessment methodology, and the quantification of general and special benefits. This public hearing will tabulate all received property owner ballots. A majority of greater than 50% support of ballots received is required to form the assessment. The greater than 50% is tabulated by summing up the accumulated assessment amounts. For example, a yes vote for a property with a single dwelling is $665.50 per year. And a yes vote for a property with multiple dwellings could be $1,211.88. And a yes vote for a vacant lot could be $139.09. The total calculated amount would be for this situation $2,016.17. So therefore, the ballots are tabulated based on the cost, not the actual 1-to-1 ratio. If ballot tabulation shows a majority support, it is recommended that the council adopt the resolution to approve the final engineer's report, form the Old Highlands Area Road Improvement Assessment District, order levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 2022. Assessments will be collected at the same time as property taxes. Any questions?
Sorry, would you mind unsharing your screen? Okay, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Public Works Director. I appreciate the staff report and presentation. Do you recall, because it wasn't listed in the staff report, how many times this item was agendized in the Council Infrastructure Committee? It doesn't have to be exact number, but just roughly.
Okay. I recall about twice since I have been a deputy director. And I think maybe once before I was deputy director.
Okay. And there was, I remember one meeting was like a packed house. So there was a lot of public engagement in community. Is that accurate? Okay. And then other than Council Infrastructure Committee meeting, what other outreach has occurred with the neighborhood leading up to this, this ballot?
We met at an OHA meeting of the OHA board in late 2018. And that's where everyone approved of the terms of the assessment. We also have sent out multiple flyers and notifications to property owners. I know that we work with Bob Carlson, the president of OHA board, and he's put a lot of information in their newsletter.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Zermano.
Just thank you for the report. Just a quick question. We expect the project to be finished in 6 years, so by 2026, 27?
That's correct, 5 to 6 years.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, seeing no other questions from council members, I'm going to open public comment on this item. And given what we what we just heard about the interest at the Infrastructure Committee, I'm surprised, but I do not see any hands raised from the public. Madam City Clerk, did you have any evidence of any public? Okay, we have some public comments. Here they come. Hands raised. We'll start with Valerie Cavalia.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Who is muted at the moment?
Please go ahead and unmute.
I said good evening 3 times, but you only heard me this time. So good evening, council members. Nice to see you all. Basically, we're waiting around for the vote to be counted because as far as we know, that's what's going to happen tonight.
Absolutely. As soon as we get through public comment, we're going to close public comment and the city clerk will then, I believe, begin counting the votes. So,
okay, so we're all holding our breath and then we can comment.
Please don't hold your breath that long, okay? I don't think that would be a good idea. Even if they do have new ventilators at St. Rose, I think that would not be a good idea. All right.
That's all.
Thank you. And the next caller, I believe, is... I'm not sure what the caller's name is, but the phone is in Parkside Res. Can we hear from that speaker?
Yes, please go ahead. If you could unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, what exactly is going to be done to the street? Are we going to get like storm drains? Is like the water going to be updated? Like, because I mean, are you guys just going to repave it, or or what exactly, because I was looking at the report and I don't see like the specific details or the actual cost of the total project. I just see what we're going to pay. So I was just wondering what is actually going to be done.
That was in the staff. Mr. Ameri, do you want to respond to that? Or
Yes, Madam Mayor, that's fine. I can start. We have been very, very clear from the beginning that this project is going to include pavement improvement. It is not going to improve stormwater improvements, curb and gutter, street lights, street furniture. Nothing like that is going to be included. It is going to include pavement improvement. So pavement is going to be improved either by 20 feet or 24 feet, depending on the space that is available. That is going to help extremely high in terms of improving the area, improving emergency access, improving access to the lots, developability of the lots, property values, and so on. But the project is not going to include stormwater or curb and gutter and sidewalk.
And it's going to take a total of 6 years to do our streets. If it's just repaving, shouldn't you be able to do that all once it's paid for? It makes no sense that it would have to, because for instance, we need storm drains up here because part of a couple branches blocked the street and it caused water to come down my property, forcing it down my property because there's no proper storm drain. So what are you going to do for me there?
So the storm drainage that is in place right now is going to be to the maximum level that is possible maintained. We are not going to interfere with the drainage the way it exists right now. The reason for 6 years is that the city is implementing the paving as part of the city's pavement improvement, annual pavement improvement. And every year we have the capacity for performing about $1 million worth of this pavement improvement as part of the larger pavement improvement that is performed in the city. Half of the funding for this project is going to come from the city, is going to be paid for initially all by the city and then collected over 20 years. The funding and the scheduling determine the fact that it takes 6 years to do the project.
And maybe Alex, the total cost of the project, could you just remind everyone?
Total cost of the project is between $5 and $6 million. That is what we have estimated.
For both sides, us and you guys?
Correct.
So when you do the math, when I did 20 years at $665 for 299 residents, that costed about $6.5 million. So where's your guys' half? Shouldn't our value be $300?
That is included all in the engineer's report. There is escalation and other factors that go into the total cost.
Okay. And then where do my current tax dollars go for my street improvements? Because I mean, if I'm paying taxes and I know the houses up here, several of them are worth millions of dollars or a couple $1 million. Why isn't our money going towards our streets? If it's going through everywhere else in the city, because I see it coming up the road, why isn't it going to our streets?
There is a long history about the OHA project. When it was annexed to the city, as stated in the staff report, no improvements were made to the streets. Later on, a few years after the annexation happened in 1960s, an assessment district was formed for construction of utilities, water and sewer, but nothing was done for streets. The street improvements are the obligation of the property owners when the property is annexed to the city. That was never done. That assessment district is being formed at this time.
So why do we pay taxes for street improvement if it doesn't go to that?
So a lot of the streets up there are also, there's still private ownership and there's, because the city didn't accept the streets as to maintain them when the properties were annexed in over 50, 60 years ago. So there's, this is a problem that many of us have inherited that we're trying to solve. And property tax dollars actually don't pay for roadway repairs at all. All of roadway repairs are paid for through gasoline taxes, which are paid to the state, and then we get a very small percentage back. The state keeps a vast majority of those. So the property taxes you pay, the vast majority of those go to fund the school. For every dollar that you pay, the city only gets 15 cents of that property tax dollar.
Thank you for the call. And I'll just add that there has been some work done up there over the years. Emergency type repairs and things like that have been done. But it is the fact that, yes, the homeowners up there are probably contributing to the gas taxes that we receive. Some of that has gone toward periodic repairs. Some of it is the justification for a city putting money in now to do this work. So now I'm going to go to Robert Carlson.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to comment that of the last speaker, those issues have been aired time and time and time and time again. They've been aired most frequently in the engineer's report and in the newsletters we've circulated within OHA. There should be, not everybody agrees this is the best way to deal with it, but there at least should be an understanding about why this is the way that was selected to deal with it. The other piece I need to comment on, and Director Mary may comment after me, but we have talked many times about water control. We've had, again, numerous conversations. And the agreement we have reached, as I would state it tonight, is that what water control exists at this time and what measures have been installed by the owners and community to this point for water control will be maintained, or if they're destroyed in the construction, reinstated, so that the water control will not diminish with the new road being built. It will at least be maintained at the same level it is right now. And how that work's going to be done, whether we're going to survey properties and see what's in place and make sure we duplicate it, or how that process actually works out, that is the agreement as I understand it, and I've talked to Director Mary about, is that they will be sustained at the current level with similar types of methodologies and technologies that are in place today. There is no way the storm sewer could be built, but it would take twice the money. We tried that in 2008, and the proposition there had the whole package, storm sewers, streets, and it was rejected by the community as too expensive. So in an attempt to do this and get at least the streets done, we've reached this agreement that we will concentrate on the streets for this project. And this is a full depth reconstruction, not repaving, as I heard one person mention. It's a full depth reconstruction of our streets.
Thank
Am I
you.
pretty close, Director Mary?
Absolutely, you're spot on. Thank you.
And thank you for your efforts in working with the city and through the leading the homeowners in working with the city to get to where we are right now. I thought there was Alexis Villalobos.
Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had a question about this project in terms of pavement. So as I understand, this is focused on the repavement of roads. What implications does it have on sidewalks? I think I heard in one of the answers to one of the callers that it could include the expansion of road length by feet if it's possible. But I didn't hear anything about sidewalks. And I live in this area, and I'm wondering, what can be done. There's sometimes a lack of sidewalks to take a nice walk in the neighborhood. Some of the sidewalks seem unkept. And I'm wondering if this includes sidewalk, improvements, sidewalk expansions, anything of that sort, or if it's all focused on cars, vehicles, being able to drive faster through our neighborhoods. Thank you. Or actually, the other speakers got to get their questions answered. So Can I get my questions answered?
Yes.
At this moment?
Sure.
I think Mr. Carlson responded to the question. This project includes pavement improvement. It does not include sidewalk improvement or other improvements. This is going to focus on repaving, full construction of the road pavement between 20 foot wide to 24 feet wide, depending on how much right-of-way exists and whether or not it is feasible to have the wider roadway. It does not include sidewalks.
So does that mean that if it's feasible, does that mean that it's possible that our current sidewalks will be reduced in order to expand the roadways?
No, we are not going to reduce the sidewalks. We are going to implement the pavement improvement within the roadway that exists. If there are encroachments into the roadway by driveways and other things that do not allow 24-foot wide pavement, the pavement is going to be limited to 20 feet.
And does this include anything regarding bike lanes or any other safety measures for other uses of the road, or is it just the expansion of roadways?
So the roadway is not wide enough for a dedicated bike lane, but a shared bike lane is possible, and we encourage that.
Is that something that you encourage it, but is that something that the city council needs to give sort of direction towards, making sure that there are shared bikeways and enough signals, signs, and a road? I've been I lived in different cities before, and some of them use different markers on the road. Is that something that the city council needs to give direction on?
Usually local residential streets do not have, necessarily don't have markings for bikeways. If necessary, we can include sharrows and other signs for shared bikeway.
And is that something that the city council would have to direct you on? Or is that something that's already been decided and it's just a yes or no vote at this point?
City Council has provided direction in the past, and we have a bike and pedestrian master plan that has information in that regard that the council has adopted.
And so, thank you. And I see that, I see another, I was just going to comment that my understanding is that many of the property owners up there did not, that one of the reasons this hasn't happened or hasn't gone anywhere earlier is that people really did not want didn't want sidewalks and feel that I think this is a compromise to keep the somewhat rural character of that neighborhood as it was when it first came into being part of the city of Hayward. And that was very much desired by many of the homeowners up there, which is why this process has taken so long and it has involved so much discussion. But I'll let other speakers maybe speak to that. We'll go back to public comment here. William Wakeman.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is since the vote is already in and we're just finding the results, is this the last time that this is going to come up? And if it's voted down, it's gone until somebody comes up with a new plan that they're going to try later? That's part A. Part B is, if it does in fact pass, is there any way that someone can try for an exemption or decide to opt out?
Okay.
I think maybe, Mayor, I can answer the question. I think, we've worked very hard with the neighborhood. This, I think, is probably the third or fourth time that we've tried to get an assessment district passed in this neighborhood to improve the streets to at least, what will be considered, a standard street pavement condition. Right now, they are substandard. If you've driven through the old Highlands, it is dangerous, if not, in a lot of areas. And so I think we've worked really hard with the community. We're hopeful that the vote will pass tonight. We don't know. That's what the city clerk will do here shortly. And we look forward to counting the votes. I think the other question was, your second question, Mr. Wakeman.
Yeah. Well, it's real simple. I just want to know, if this
opting out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is not. This is something that's assessed on the property. This would be assessed on the property taxes if it is voted in. There's not an exemption because it is an assessment district for the entire community. So, unfortunately, there's no exemptions from the assessment district.
Or an appeal for this?
I don't believe there is an appeal process, but maybe I'll ask our city attorney if assessment districts have an appeal process.
Okay. Quickly, now, if it does fail, is this the last time that this assessment will come up for a vote, or will it get another shot later on?
I believe that this is, unless the council wants us to continue to try and work with the neighborhood to come up with an alternate plan, this would be the last time this would come up for a vote.
Thank you.
Okay. So our next speaker will be, Deborah Bierce, or I believe her husband came on before when I called that name. So whichever of you is wanting to speak this time, please go ahead.
Yep, you got it. It is Joe again.
Hi, Joe.
So I just have a question. So when we bought our house, there was a deferred agreement on this property, and if this goes through, obviously that deferred agreement would be voided, correct? And if so, will we get some sort of a written notice or something in writing releasing us from that agreement?
I believe that the city council action includes that in the resolution. If not, we can follow up and provide that.
It does. If this is approved, it does waive or eliminate those agreements. Whether we are going to send some acknowledgement, I think we should do that. So, or there should be some way of that being acknowledged to the homeowners. Okay, does that answer your question?
Okay. It does, just for the future. Thank you.
Okay, and then this is a sort of special situation. So I realized, Mr. Villalobos, I think I did end your call before you were asking a series of questions, but you still had a little bit of time left. So do you want to go ahead? You had about a minute.
Yes, thank you. I had about 30 seconds. I'll be more honest, code of honor. Just a question to the process here. I know there's a lot of talk about homeowners. I'm a renter and I live here, and I know a lot of renters who live here. And maybe for us, vehicular, transit isn't our main mode of getting around and our main lifestyle. We rely more on our buses, our bikes, walking around. How much of this process included renters and non-homeowners and non-property owners in terms of getting, community outreach, community input, and sort of, the whole deal of making sure that our voices were heard?
Okay. I'm not sure. I know that this was a homeowners association driven effort on their part, and the city worked with them. Mr. Ameri, and perhaps I'll call on Mr. Carlson, because I know he was the leader of the effort, and maybe he can respond to that and some of the other things that have come up. Mr. Carlson?
Yes, hello, thank you again. One thing, Mayor Halliday, you hit the nail on the head when the questions came up about improvements beyond the pavement, sidewalks and so forth. Since the late 80s, we have been working on this attempt, And one of the foundations put forward by the community and the entire effort since then is we want to maintain the rural character of the neighborhood. Sidewalks have been brought up expressly several times and rejected each time because they felt that would not sustain that kind of ambiance that we wanted to have. So much of what this improvement entails is just to make our current neighborhood still friendly, quiet, rural in nature, and we're not interested in becoming a city street with all the accoutrements that come along with that. So I just want to make that clear. If I can, I'll be glad to pipe in if you think I can lend some information that's helpful to the callers. I'll be here.
And Mayor, I just wanted to also add, this is a little bit of a unique circumstance because there's still a lot of areas in OHA that are private streets, and this is really a partnership between the homeowners who are going to be paying for half of these improvements, and then the city paying for half. It is not sort of we did not, our typical sort of roadway redesign process with a whole series of community outreach. This was a very unique set of circumstances to form this assessment district, which is unlike any sort of major roadway project that is entirely city funded. So I just wanted to share kind of the unique circumstance around this particular project because the homeowners in the area are paying for half of the improvements and because of the history and background here. So just to share some of that context.
All right. And with that and seeing no other hands, Grant. Someone named Grant has raised their hand.
Go ahead. Please go ahead, Grant. Are you able to hear us?
Doesn't look like they're muted. Grant?
Maybe we'll go with the next speaker.
Well, we don't have any other speakers that haven't spoken, and I'm Mr. Villalobos, I'm sorry, I think you went beyond your time there. And I did particularly call on Mr. Carlson too, because I thought he could answer that. Okay, Grant has his hand up again. Do we want to try him?
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, is that working now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry. I just want to say that the people who are upset that there aren't sidewalks in here, like this was a compromise to get the streets redone. We've tried before to get sidewalks, but not enough people supported it. So just because we're doing the streets now, I would assume that it doesn't preclude us from organizing and getting sidewalks later. If at some point the community wants to put in sidewalks and give up some of their property to put in a sidewalk, that's something that we can petition the city for later. As far as there really aren't too many sidewalks. I don't know of any in our area. So the caller who was questioning about sidewalks being maintained, you might be thinking of like on Hayward Boulevard, where there are gaps, and that's something that the city is working on now, I believe, has an initiative to rebuild and redo Hayward Boulevard. So if you're interested in that, I think you can do that. But anyways, just want to say thank you, and that it's a compromise, and that's what it is, to get the most people to be able to vote to repave our streets and redo them.
Thank you. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to close public comment, and we're going to move on to council comments.
Mayor, before moving on to council comments, this is Michael Vigilia with the City Attorney's Office. Just to respond to one of the questions about an appeal process, as with most legislative actions, under Prop 218, the validity of an assessment can be appealed. And I just wanted to respond to that specific question.
That an appeal is possible? What?
There's a process for challenging the validity of an assessment.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna, and I understand, according to the instructions, I think we do need to have council, Mr. Lawson, council comment. I have received instructions that once we close public comment, I should direct the city clerk to tabulate all assessments and ballots received. That hasn't allowed any room here for any council comment. Do we have council comment on this? City attorney?
There's a couple council members, Wahab and Marquez, who have raised their hands, Mayor.
Okay, but
Yes, Mayor, if you can hear me, yes, council members can certainly comment.
Yes, okay. And so we're going to, rather than direct the city clerk right now to start counting the ballots, shall we take council comment?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to council member Wahab.
And I just wanted to know, can we do the ballot numbers prior, just because at least it's transparency, so all of us know, because we've had plenty of callers and we don't actually know the direction, so we can't even comment on certain things.
So you want to be able to comment after we hear the
tabulation, yes.
result? We can offer the opportunity for that. I think while the city clerk is counting the votes, then we may move on to our next item and then come back to this. But yes, we can afford you the opportunity to comment after the vote is counted. Council member, I don't see any other hands up. So I'm going to direct the city clerk to count the ballots. And meanwhile, we are going to move on to item number 5. And while the city clerk will be counting the ballots on camera, and we will keep her screen, hopefully be able to keep her screen up on the video presentation so you can see the city clerk counting the ballots. And meanwhile, then we will move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which is is negotiations, guiding principles for upcoming labor negotiations that we have on the horizon here. And we will start with a staff report. Is that going to be Mr. Clausen?
You will start, and then I'll make some comments at the end of the presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here this evening to walk through some of the guiding principles that we shared. Obviously, I won't go through each one. I've got a short slide presentation for you guys, if I can get it to start here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So I'll walk through this at a high level, and we can answer any questions that you all might have at the end. So as you are aware, we are headed into negotiations with 3 of our miscellaneous groups, our SEIU, our Local 21, and our HAME employees, which is the 3 large non-safety related groups in the city. We've invited the labor groups together to begin negotiations for the agreements which expire on June 30th of this calendar year. So we put together a list of guiding principles that we would like to go over with council. Many of you will likely remember that we brought a similar document to council for their consideration and feedback in December of 2017, ahead of the 2018 negotiations. The document that we put together this time started using that as a base and really made some very minor tweaks to it, but it's substantially the same. What we've done, the sort of tent poles, if you will, are trying to work through the negotiations to ensure that we've got a safe and healthy workplace, that we are compensating our folks in an equitable manner, and that we are partnering with groups to assist in the cost of benefits to help the city long-term with its fiscal sustainability. We are likely to take a more conservative standpoint given the economy and where we're at with the global pandemic that's still ongoing. These principles were sent to each of the 3 labor groups on January 27th and 28th with a kickoff letter inviting each of the groups to some dates so that we can begin discussions and get to the work that needs to be done so that we can come to a new agreement with each of them. Next steps, we will begin meeting with each of them. I believe we've got a date on the calendar for the end of this month with each of the groups. We're going to work with each of them to come to an agreement over the following months to avoid having a contract expire, as of July 1st, so that we can get to an agreement that's works for both sides. And we will provide council with updates along the way, obviously informing you of the progress that we're making with each of the groups and keep you apprised as we go. That's really kind of all I've got. I know Kelly wanted to offer some staff recommendations, but any questions that you all might have, I'm happy to answer them after she's done.
Thank you, Dustin. And if you can stop sharing your screen if you want to, and then we can go back if the council needs the presentation again. Fantastic. I just wanted to highlight for the council that this is a relatively minor update to a resolution that the City Council previously adopted with very similar, if not almost identical, guiding principles on December 5th, 2017. So the council has seen and has adopted a resolution previously on this item. We did earlier today receive basically a complaint from one of our bargaining groups that these guiding principles are subject to meet and confer process, and the council's adoption of this resolution would be in violation of the Myers-Milius-Brown Act. We have conferred with our attorneys and believe that that is not accurate. These are, as you saw in the presentation, very high level, overarching policy statements that do not directly impact or are not specific wage and benefit proposals that are being presented to the council. And as I mentioned, the council did adopt a resolution with almost identical guiding principles on December 5th, 2017, and no groups objected to the guiding principles at that point. If there is concern, obviously, we want to enter into this round of negotiations in good partnership with our bargaining groups. We've worked very hard to rebuild relationships over the past few years. This effort to bring these guiding principles tonight, similar to what we did last time before negotiations started, is an effort at transparency to all of our groups. And they were provided with copies of these guiding principles before the staff report had gone out. So this evening, if the council does not wish to adopt the resolution, that is completely fine. The guiding principles are what they are, and I think we will continue to abide by them. And we can, the council can provide feedback and comments, but there's no need to adopt a resolution if that is of concern. And I think we want to show good faith as we go into the next round of negotiations. So happy to answer any questions from council.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to our acting HR director and our city manager for the presentation. Can you remind me years past how we approach negotiations, and specifically in terms of transparency and posting information on the dedicated page on the City of Hayward's website? Can you just kind of give a quick overview of how we communicated to all of our bargaining groups as well as the public?
Yeah, and it varies. I think one of the first things that we do at each table is establish ground rules. And so in the past, we have set up ground rules where there would be the allowing of posting of offers at the table. Some groups agree to that, some do not. So that's a subject that gets discussed early on. So we have in the past been able to post some of those offers up on the city's website. More importantly, I think, is being incredibly transparent with information about the city's budget, financial situation. We often respond to a number of information requests from our bargaining groups, meet with their financial consultants to review and answer questions about the city's comprehensive annual financial report, the city's budget, our 10-year forecast, things like that. So we are as transparent as absolutely possible. I'm happy to also meet with the groups. Dustin, in his role as finance director, often goes to the table and meets with the groups. Now he will be there in sort of the dual role to answer questions. So I think it's obviously we try to be as open with the groups as possible.
Okay. And I do appreciate you analyzing the letter we received today. And I think we've all worked really, really hard to mend relationships and move forward as an entire organization. So it would be my preference tonight that we just accept this as an informational item. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
Questions only or comments, or does she need a second?
I think there's questions and then there's some public speakers, Mayor, if you want to go to.
I'm sorry. Did you make a motion?
I did not, but I can, but I don't think I could do that until after public comment. Is that correct, City Attorney?
Yeah, so questions.
Yeah, I will make a motion after though. Thank you.
Okay. So do you have a question?
Yes. So you said this was made previously in 2017, correct?
Correct.
Were you our city manager?
I was.
Okay. So I'm going to rely on your memory just because.
But it's on the, you can go to the agenda, December 5th, 2017, and it was on the council agenda that evening and was adopted.
One of the things that I noticed in these guiding principles, and I sometimes bring this up on other, discussion, principles and goals versus priorities, and the level of detail. It stated that there is no benefits discussed in this particular item. However, in one of the items on page 2, it does talk about utilize and promote, current, plans to maximize employee funding for future and current healthcare expenses and things like that. Those technically are a little bit more detailed, and it does, highlight one particular benefit plan. So I am a little concerned about some of the details in this particular document. I understand we received a letter from one of our bargaining units who is also concerned with some of the very legal aspects of what they have raised as concerns. And I believe that they had multiple concerns. My question is, do you not believe that that's part of the benefits being discussed?
So, I think it's a fine line. There's a goal that we would, I think, because of the city's financial position, we would obviously like more employee contributions, but it does not identify a specific target, a specific percentage, a specific amount. It is a guiding principle. Obviously, as we get into the negotiations, there will be proposals put across the table that have specifics. So the fact that it's not like we're saying every employee should contribute 10% towards their benefit. We're not saying anything like that. It's just saying we would like to have and that language was in the 2017 document that was adopted as well.
Okay. And we received the letter from the bargaining unit's attorneys. And do you believe that less than half a day is enough time to do a proper legal analysis on our part of the city?
I think given the experience that our outside counsel has in labor negotiations and sort of experience with these issues, I think, yes, obviously we can look into it in more depth, but if the council doesn't adopt the resolution tonight, there's really no value in doing additional.
Okay. And then to Director Clausen, and I appreciate you obviously doing double. Are we on hiring a full HR director? Because we haven't been with Director Nina.
Sorry, Councilmember Wahab, I think you're sort of Your audio isn't coming through.
Sorry.
You froze through that.
Yeah, we weren't hearing that last part. Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, just where are we on hiring a full-time HR director? And the reason why I ask is because HR director Nina Morris retired in late September 2019. We had assistant city manager Maria Hurtado play the HR director in the interim, and she retired this past December 2020. And now we have our finance director play the HR director interim. But my concern is, as we're moving closer to also dealing with our budget, which we know is going to take a lot of time and effort, where are we on hiring a full-time HR director?
So, I made a decision, when Nina Collins retired to appoint, Maria as the interim HR director. I had said she's going to serve for 6 months and then we'll reevaluate. In the middle of that 6-month period, COVID hit. So it did not seem like the appropriate time to create additional transition in the organization at that point. So Maria continued, and with the goal that we would start the recruitment in last fall. We did start the recruitment for the permanent HR director in November. We have the last 2 weeks been going through interviews with final candidates, and I hope to make an announcement about the permanent director sometime in the next few weeks.
Okay, and then potentially the transition of negotiations would happen with the new HR director, correct?
It depends. I mean, obviously that was one of the reasons we hired additional assistants, outside counsel, to help at the negotiations table this year, because we knew we would be in the process of hiring the HR director, and that director wouldn't have had the time to come in and build the relationships with the employee groups at the table. Obviously, that person will come in and get very involved very quickly and try and get up to speed. But really, I think the process will be well underway by the time the individual starts in the role.
And have other cities, let's say in Alameda County, hired a law firm to do negotiations in the meantime? Is that normal?
Yes, I think the group, Sloan Sakai, that we're using, and the negotiators are very involved and sitting at tables throughout the Bay Area, and we can provide the council with a list of those, but I believe they're actively in negotiations with San Francisco, maybe even Oakland, and some other areas with different groups right now.
All right, thank you.
All right, now we will go to public comment on this item, and we do have some hands raised. Saad M from SEAU 1021. Madam City Clerk, Ms. Monlux, are you handling getting these calls on, or? Yes.
I'll help while she's counting.
Okay.
So our first caller is Saad with SEIU. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
We can. Hey, how's everyone doing? Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the council. I received the email on Thursday with the agenda item for this matter, and we're talking about it kind of in like a kind of a vague sense, or a goal oriented, not real functional. But as I read through the document, it's highly troubling. The guidance that you will be giving your bargaining team are mandatory subjects of bargaining. How much employees are going to pay. Like Ms. McAdoo stated, it doesn't talk about how much employees will pay, but it definitely talks about that they will pay. These are highly, this document is highly concerning, because it goes beyond, like when Kelly McAdoo talked about a usual process at bargaining, we go over ground rules. A ground rule would never contain that's negotiated between two parties. Anything, mostly, a lot of the things on this document would not appear in the ground rules, which talks about, no cell phones or the duty to bargain in good faith. Will there be retroactivity or not in pay salaries? Would never appear in the ground rules negotiated between two parties. And if we had an opportunity to negotiate this document with the city before today, which was probably about 2 business days, we would have urged a lot of these things be stricken from this document. We did send a letter I want to come back for my last minute after the closure of our talking points. We have some members that would like to speak.
No, I'm sorry. I ask that you complete your comments right now. And
yeah, I asked that you hold my last minute until after our members have spoken.
No, I'm not really agreeable to doing that. If you have something else to say it.
So we definitely believe if you vote on this tonight, it will be a violation of the MMBA in terms of PERB law, Public Employees Relations Act, encourage us to come to the table as equal partners to negotiate over all the terms and working conditions before us. And this takes definite positions on salary, on benefits, on city funding that we believe is inappropriate before we've even had a chance to start bargaining. And I've never had a chance to review this item before it became a part of an agenda packet. It was sent to me as part of an agenda packet. It's an attempt to prejudice the city council by setting a false sense of expectation with regard to bargaining. If you preordain the city's bargaining stance before negotiations, it hurts the trust between the parties that bargaining will be able to proceed with good faith.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alexis Villalobos. Mr. Villalobos.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Alexis Villalobos again. Villalobos.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I remember that.
It's a long last name. That's okay. I just, you'll get used to it. I'll be calling a lot. I have no direct affiliation to this SEIU local, but I did work for SEIU Local 87 in the past and have been part of contract negotiations. And I'm hearing what both the staff report and the staff defense and presentation said and what SEIU said. And I highly urge council to not pass this. If it is indeed so vague and so just high level principles, and there's nothing here that is really going to change the direction of your bargaining, then there's no need to pass it. But if there is, then there is an issue here. And I want to say that if you really want to get into into bargaining in good faith, I think a really bad move is to do something that the other party is asking you not to do. So I read their letter, I read the principles, and I do see some issues highlighted here about, the assumption that certain things are going to be agreed upon, the assumption that staff is going to pay into certain things, the assumption that certain things are already on the table or off the table. So I would say that this is not a good idea. Please don't pass this. As somebody who really supports the labor movement, who has a lot of respect for SEIU in general, I am here in support for this local and their letter. So thank you very much. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Suzanne Phyllis.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Suzanne Phyllis, and I serve as president for the City Hayward Clerical Chapter of SEIU Local 10-1. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm not going to reiterate what the letter says. Just as I've been listening to the comments and from what I read, I do appreciate the city's efforts to be more transparent, and I do feel that there is a positive change in our relationships. I'm just concerned that the letter mentions structural and ongoing changes, and those will impact us for years. So my concern tonight is I just want to have the opportunity to discuss the guiding principles before they are approved, just so that we have some input and we have a little back and forth about what they mean, so that we have a clear understanding before we get started about interpretation. And it just feels like if they get approved tonight, we'll get locked into something that maybe, we don't want to be locked into before we even get started. So we're asking for a no vote tonight so that we can start our discussions with a clean slate and move forward from there. And I do look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. So now we will go back to council for comments, possibly a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you. So in light of the letter, the discussion, the presentation, and public comments, I would like to motion that we just accept this item as an informational item.
Second. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All right. That motion has been made by Councilmember Marquez, seconded by Councilmember Romano. Did you have any other comments, Councilmember Marquez?
No, other than, well, I guess I do. Sorry. I really appreciate Ms. Phyllis's comments. I want to acknowledge that I feel that things have improved as well. And it really was reassuring to hear one of our employees state that. So I really want us to focus on that respect, that integrity, and working in partnership as we commence this process. So I look forward to the updates as well. And just to caution the public and everyone, us as council members have to be very careful. We do not have a seat at the negotiation table. We play a role, but we all need to be very clear in our role and responsibility moving forward. But I really appreciate her position. So thank you.
Yeah, and I believe I was the one that seconded that, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you? Okay. Moved by Councilmember Marquez, seconded by Councilmember Salinas. So, Councilmember Salinas, did you want to speak to?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm real pleased that Suzanne Phyllis called in and lended her words. I have a great deal of respect for Suzanne and all her colleagues, and there's. I've been up here, long enough to know that, we've come a long way in our relationship and with the council and with our labor groups. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. One of the reasons why I think our city has been successful in terms of our budget and in terms of our fiscal affairs and our stewardship, and even when we forecast our finances, at the end of the day, I think our labor groups have historically stepped up. And I know we sometimes we get upset stomachs. I totally agree, and I know some of this stuff is not easy. It's heavy lifting. It's a lot of back and forth, but I've always respected the fact that our city has always been fiscally. Our city has been where it has been, and I point to the pandemic primarily as the most recent example that I think we've fared well, and we're faring well through this pandemic. Because our labor groups have stepped up and they've done their part. And I think, council, we've done our part. I think staff, management has also done their part. And I think, so anyways, I just wanted to acknowledge Suzanne and Suzanne's gracious words. We're back at it again. We're going to do it again. And I'm sure, I look forward to the end of the process, but so I second it, and it'll be my pleasure to be voting for the motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
Yes, I just want to clarify or ask, is Councilmember Marquez informational item, or would you be willing to withdraw this from the agenda?
It's already been heard, so it's information to the public. So no,
okay.
We're not going to vote on the resolution, though.
So to our city attorney, I just want to highlight to the public what it means to just accept as an informational item.
We don't use it.
It doesn't indicate that the council has taken a position for or against the substance of the report or the recommendation.
All right.
It becomes a matter of public record that the council has accepted the report, but it's not an indication that the policy has been accepted or rejected.
All right, I appreciate that. For transparency purposes, I do just want to highlight a couple comments. Number one, I do hope that we get our HR director up and running as soon as possible, just because I do believe it's a disservice to staff if they are unable to speak to somebody that has full background in HR and is really their go-to person with the main focus of human relations, if you will. I do respect the fact that we did need time while dealing with COVID, retirements, and much more in the city. But I do believe that a permanent staff is very much needed as we move forward, because this is not the only negotiation. We have plenty more coming in the pipeline. So if we can kind of put that as a priority. I do appreciate the comments that were shared tonight. As budgets do get tighter and decisions get tougher to make, I'd like to have a constructive partnership, and that definitely means buy-in from all stakeholders. As I often say, we are one community, and to my fellow colleagues, definitely tone at the top is very important as we influence change culture. So SEIU's response to the city's effort is very clear that they had some concerns about this particular piece, and overall, good faith basically is assuming the best intentions of everyone. I'm glad to hear that there are some positive reactions to how the city has been moving along in the couple years. I want to thank our city manager for definitely influencing that positive change. I know our goal is definitely transparent and just making sure everyone is very much heard, and people have to feel heard. Going to be a difficult budget negotiations as people's lives and livelihoods will be impacted. This process is important, and our staff is the backbone of our city and the services we provide to our residents. So I do appreciate all the work around this, and I'd like 2021 to be a positive year for everyone because we sure need it. So thank you.
Thank you. I agree with that. Councilmember Lamnon.
Thank you. Yes, certainly I'd like to see 2021 be healthy and productive for everybody. I really wanted to echo the appreciation that Councilmember Wahab just mentioned about people calling in and having a dialogue. That is exactly what we've been working towards as we enter into this. I was just counting, this is the fourth contract negotiation cycle since the imposition in 2014 and 2013, and I hope that we can build from this foundation of having 3 successful contract negotiations since then. This opportunity to really continue the progress that's been made, as my colleagues mentioned, and as Ms. Phyllis mentioned, that this is a different day in Hayward, and a really positive one, and one that is meant to be as open and honest and consistent as possible. And so, I think one of the things I heard in the past was this question of, well, what does council think about negotiations? And we don't, as was mentioned, have a seat at the table. That is not our role. And so this document, when it was created in 2017, was meant to really be transparent about that. Well, what does council think about contracts? What has the community, in our role as the voice of the community, of the taxpayers and the residents of the community, the business owners, what are we thinking about? Because we're not in the room. And that was the entire intent of this document. And so it's not particularly a staff driven thing. This was a council driven idea in 2017 and just updated for this new time. And for those who were not familiar with that or it didn't come across that way, that's kind of why I'm spending some time. And I do appreciate the opportunity to have dialogue. Obviously, we're never negotiating. That's not, again, our role for each other. But as community members, as our employees have questions about just the budget or philosophy or things like that are not about contract negotiations, I look forward to those conversations. You know, the financial challenges of our city are not secrets. And there's nothing in this document that's new or secret or particularly different than we've been doing it. And so to the extent that we can have dialogue about how do we help our employees have a successful, supported employment in the city where they can take care of themselves and their families in a really productive way. I look forward to this process coming forward. And just looking at my notes. So thank you very much, and I support the motion.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Zermania.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dustin. And thank you, Kelly, also for the clarification on this. I did vote on it back in 2017 because I agreed. I liked that we were having negotiating guides. And I thought that was something that was important in that everybody was aware of how we felt as the city council back in 2017. This time around, looks like there's no need to take a vote on it, on a yes vote, simply treat it as an informational item, which is fine because it actually provides a little bit of what the philosophy of what good possible negotiations can be. I fully trust our employees. I fully trust the leadership of our employees, as was illustrated by Suzanne. I have not met Saad yet. So Saad, my apologies if I didn't get the name correct, but I have not met him yet. Maybe later on. And the trust of our employees is something very, very important because that also means respect. And I also trust and respect our staff. And I think we will get there to positive, successful negotiations. And if this guide is as an informational tool, can be instrumental in that. So I actually didn't think we need any kind of motion at all. I thought my preference would have been just simply say, thank you very much for the information and let's move on. But that's okay. We have a motion to simply treat it as an informational item. So I thank my colleagues, Salinas and Marquez for taking that action. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I don't see any other requests from council to speak. So yes, I'll be joining. And I think to clarify, we often have informational items that we don't take a vote on. In this case, this was advertised as a resolution for approval. We are not going to take that route. So I think having the motion to accept it as an informational item is appropriate. And I thank everybody for their input. I'm sorry that a well-intentioned effort by the city manager and by this council to be transparent in how we are, looking at the upcoming negotiations. This is actually for us also a overall part of our duty as fiscal stewards of the city to be open about our budget and about our budget processes, since about 3/4 of our budget is in employee salaries and other compensation. These are discussions, obviously, about these issues that we do have and need to have on an ongoing basis. So I'm sorry that it caused consternation among some of the employee groups, or at least among their representatives. I also really appreciate that the one person who spoke, who is an actual employee, I appreciate Ms. Phyllis's comments too. She's an employee who works a lot with our council through her work in the economic development department, and we do appreciate her. So we'll just simply accept this as informational. But I can say that as we continue during this spring to look to both have these negotiations conducted on our behalf, but without our, direct involvement. We're also going to be developing our fiscal year 2022 budget. And we will be talking about a lot of these things as we look at that budget and look at the impacts of the pandemic and the economic downturn, and what that means for our organization. So I hope that those discussions that we legitimately not only are entitled to have, but must have as council members overseeing a budget, aren't taken in the wrong way, but that is our responsibility. So with that, on this motion by Council Member Marquez to accept this report from staff as informational, seconded by Council Member Salinas. Sorry, I could have sworn I heard your colleague, but we're in a Zoom environment here. What can I say? On that, I will ask the city clerk or her representative, Ms. Monlux, to conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews? Councilmember Lamnin?
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Salinas?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahab?
Yes.
Councilmember Zermania?
Aye.
And Mayor Halliday?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the motion passes with 7 aye votes. Now, with that item concluded, we will return to item number 5 and ask our Madam City Clerk. You look like you're still kind of busy there. So are we ready to announce a vote?
Mayor Halliday, we are still counting the votes. If you could please go with the next item.
Okay.
Done. You have about 15 more to go.
Okay. You go back to work then. Thank you. We're watching here. Yes, Councilmember Salinas.
Perhaps if others would like to, maybe we take a 5-minute break and like a stretch break.
Sure, I'll go for that. Is there anyone opposed to that? All right, I will call a 5-minute recess. Please be back by 9 o'clock. Maybe someone will come up with one. All right, I do see everybody is back.
I believe, Madam Mayor, that the newest council member elected must come up with a fully scored city song. I read that in the charter somewhere.
Yes, I think you're right. And has to sing it too. They have to, yeah. Okay, so you can work on that, Council Member Andrews.
You can motion to adjourn if we do that.
All right. I will call this meeting back to order, and I don't think we need to retake the roll. I do see that everyone is present. And we're going to hear from, unless I see the city clerk. No, she's not indicating that she's ready, or is she?
No, I think they're still working.
Okay, so go ahead. We'll go to city manager comments.
Actually, I don't have any comments this evening, so we might want to just move on to council comments.
All right, council reports.
I apologize for not having anything to fill the space this evening.
Any council? I see. Okay, Council Member Salinas.
Yeah, I just wanted to, give a big shout out to the City of Hayward's bulky pickup program. This morning, I used one of my 2 yearly bulky pickups, and that meant this weekend, my wife and I, Letty and I, spent, cleaning our house and our garage and taking full advantage of the bulky pickup. And I just wanted to mention that not only is the bulky pickup program, available for homeowners, but even for renters in single, duplexes, fourplexes, triplexes, multi-unit housing, the bulky pickup program is available to everybody. And so if you do live in a multi-unit housing unit, you just have to make arrangements with the property owner or the manager. But otherwise, just wanted to promote that program, and it feels good to have a clean home. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for that comment and for promoting that. We want to encourage people to take advantage of that. And I think during this time when our other activities are limited, many of us have done what you just did and, gone through some of those old closets and basements, and we have things to leave and they will come pick it up. And thanks for mentioning that it is available as well to apartment dwellers. Let's see. Councilmember Marquez.
So ironically, I also wanted to share that announcement. I made a similar one in sustainability infrastructure. I can't remember which committee, but I just want to stress that this is something our staff negotiated within our contract. It's a huge opportunity just to declutter. So as Councilmember Selena said, you get 2 a year. There's also an opportunity to get a voucher. I just wanted to share the number to schedule it, and you get to select the date that works best for you. It does need to be the date that they normally collect your items from your home, but the phone number is 510-537-5500. And again, just want to encourage everybody to subscribe to the City of Hayward's newsletter, The Stack, which you could do on the City of website, as well as the leaflet, which is our newsletter, everything related to sustainability issues in Hayward. And then one comment I forgot to make earlier, so I'm going to make it today. If we could please work with staff to ensure that every item that we review in terms of a staff report, if we could please add if it was an item that was vetted on a committee, to make sure that that's included in the staff report. We're not giving ourselves staff credit for working so hard. So please, every item that has been vetted at a council committee, please make sure that that is included in our staff reports. Thank you.
That's a good point. I think they do often mention that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
It's been voted on, but yes, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Councilmember Zermania.
Yes, if you by any chance have anything that you want to throw away, wife and I are doing the bulky pickup on the 11th of this month. So I will make a nice pile outside of our house. If there's something that you want to join, you want to throw in, by all means, bring it over. So this is my first one of the year. Actually, we never used it. I guess we don't have that much clutter, I suppose. I don't know. So anyway, I invite you the 11th. Come in early and maybe bring it over the 10th. And that's when I start making a pile outside.
I would say be careful what you ask for there, but
and Mayor, I do have a city manager comment. I had my bulky pickup 2 weeks ago on my regular pickup day of Wednesday. So as long as we're all doing our bulky pickups this month, I'll just share that I did mine as well this month.
We did one too earlier in the year, a couple months ago, I think. Plus our Christmas tree was actually, they didn't pick that up as they said they would, but we ended up cutting it up and putting it in the big green bin. So anybody else want to talk about their decluttering projects or anything else?
Councilmember Andrews.
Councilmember Andrews, yes.
I don't want to talk about bulky pickup, but I will talk about the first Black Business Roundtable that we are putting on with the Chamber. We are presenting it next Friday at noon with our guest speaker, Margaret Jackson, who is a business consultant. So if you're interested, you can follow up with the Chamber of Commerce, some more information. And I also want to thank the library for putting on a fantastic art and writing contest. It's called My Voice, My Experience in honor of Black History Month. So submissions are due on February 21st, and I am so happy that I will be judging. So I'm very excited to see all the submissions and look forward to seeing all the creativity that we have in our young Hayward residents.
Thank you. I saw that you will be moderating the discussion at the Black Business Roundtable, and kudos for getting that started. I think you had a good model in the Latino Business Roundtable that Council Member Zermeño.
Yes, I'll be picking his brain before it starts.
So good luck with that, and I have noted it, and I'm going to try to sit in on it, or zoom in on it, as they say, to see how it goes for the beginning. But thanks for that. Councilmember Wahab.
Thank you. I'm going to have to ask our city manager to provide more information if she's able to at this moment. I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me specifically regarding housing assistance, not only our landlord community, but also our tenant community. And, the fact that they are struggling with the current laws in place, as well as the joblessness and so forth. I know we are providing some relief. It's not enough, but if our city manager can just provide where to go and how easy it is to actually just apply for some assistance and support.
Sure. Probably the easiest is to call the city's housing division, which I'm going to just Google real quickly what the phone number is. I think it's 4740, but give me 1 second. Not the Housing Authority of Alameda County. Give me 1 second, Councilmember Wahab.
No worries. I also just, while she's looking that number up, just want to highlight to the public that we also are providing some food to our residents in Hayward. That is happening regularly. Our city manager can definitely update you all as to where you guys can collect it. But it is local. It is decently fresh food, healthy food, basically the staples of what you need for a healthy meal for your family. So I do want to highlight that there are different programs in place, not only at a local city level, but I know the county is also partaking in some of this. If our city manager has that by now.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So first, the housing division phone number is 510-583-4454. Landlords and tenants can call that number to get information. I do not believe that we have been fully subscribed on the second round of our rent relief program yet. So the staff can help direct folks to how to go through that application process. And that will hopefully provide some support to landlords. In addition, we are still continuing the weekly Thursday morning food distribution site. Chabot College did actually take over the management of that site, so it is still at Chabot and available and free to the public for anyone who wants to come on Thursday mornings and pick up actually a fair amount of food in the box. I've seen those weekly boxes and help put them together 1 week. So there's quite a bit of food in there. So I would encourage anyone who is in need to please take advantage of that program.
Yeah, it did definitely last for a couple days for even a family sized group, if you will. I also just want to highlight again that our staff has been working tirelessly around a lot of COVID relief efforts. We will continue to do so. That is going to be a priority for the city, as well as the Economic Development Commission met last night. We did have representation from our Hayward Chamber. We do know a lot of the notices that have been going up and the signs of for sale and for lease have been going up. We are aware of that. Our vacancy rates aren't as bad as one would think, but we are keeping that a close eye on that. And, with every dark cloud, hopefully there's a silver lining. So, hopefully we can rebuild and build quickly. So I do appreciate, again, staff effort around the just the COVID relief, the economic development, and council for just paying attention to some of the things that we have to focus on. So those are my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other hands raised, I think everyone has. I'm going to ask our city Clerk, Ms. Lenz, are you ready to report the vote back?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
So we will return now to item number 5 and hear the results of the vote.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. So the ballots submitted in favor of the assessment exceeded the ballots submitted against. With yes, the amount was $34,109.50. And for no, $9,317. So definitely the ballot submitted in favor of the assessment exceeded the amount of ballots against the assessment.
All right. And I hope everyone understands that the vote is this, in this case, it's based on the type of properties, and that was explained during the staff report, I know, but okay. All right. Does staff have any comments to add to that? Could you just repeat the amounts again?
Right. Yes, I'll be happy to do that. $34,109.50. That's yes. For no, $9,317.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And I believe our deputy public works director, Kathy Garcia, I believe she's going to add to my comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Garcia.
Since the assessment amount for yes exceeds no, you as a council are empowered to approve the benefit assessment district, to approve the final engineer's report, and form Highland Road Improvement Assessment District, and order levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 2022. Assessments will be collected at the same time as property taxes.
All right, thank you. So now we'll hear from comments from council. I'll go to Councilmember Salinas.
Yeah, so congratulations, Old Highland neighborhood. I know, when I was first elected, Dr. Carlson met with me, and he, gave me quite a history lesson, and he, patiently explained, the whole story to me, and I know that it was a long, not to and excuse the pun, but it was a long road to get here, and so I just wanted to congratulate the neighborhood for working on this. I know Dr. Carlson was a significant force behind this, and I know he's got his neighbors that have been just patiently for years working on this. And also I just wanted to thank staff. I know the Public Works Department, and I think this is, imagine all the city managers that have gone through this issue, and all the Public Works directors and deputy directors that this issue has gone through. So I'm just glad that we're able to move forward. And so I'm not going to move it. I'll wait till I think Councilmember Marquez was looking to do it. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Marquez, do you want to?
I'd love to move it, but I won't, since I already moved another item. But I also want to echo a lot of the same comments that Councilmember Salinas made. I really, really appreciate Dr. Carlson, his patience. I know it hasn't been easy to manage the various opinions of the neighborhood, and he really took on a lot of responsibility in informing people and organizing meetings and just being very open and transparent. And also to staff, I really appreciate your patience and your creativity in coming to a solution. And as one of the callers said, it is a compromise. It's not addressing all of the issues, but one of the longstanding ones for over 4 decades. So just thank you for everyone's participation, and just kind of echo my comments from earlier. Please, staff, give yourself credit. You do amazing work, but we need to document that in our staff reports. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Wahab.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Perfect.
All right. Go ahead, Councilmember Wahab.
Sorry. I'll just make some comments. I do appreciate Dr. Carlson and the entire board that has been working on this. I know I've heard from that neighborhood in particular. It's actually a very nice, beautiful neighborhood, and it does have a different vibe to it. So I'm glad that we can actually provide something that the residents definitely did want and worked for. I know it doesn't go far enough, as some of the callers have called in. I also know that sometimes we don't expand our pool of input, and hopefully I would direct our Public Works Department. I know you guys do incredible work in doing a lot of outreach in your staff analysis. With the callers calling in with confusion and so forth, if we are in the future able to provide a little bit more input as to just, even if it's on the Public Works Department website, or, step 1, this is happening, step 2, this is happening, step 3, if approved, you could appeal it through this process and so forth. Transparency of just the process is very vital to good faith effort, as we've been talking about today. So I do want to highlight that. I personally also just want to highlight that if we can start talking, and this is going to require the community input as well, in regards to support for full infrastructure in this area, that includes, whether it's waterways, whether it's sidewalks, whether it's, whatever else that community is asking for, if we can, I don't want to say start the conversation right now, but as soon as we can, because I do believe, especially in that community, I know a lot of people go for walks, and with aging family members, I know it's more difficult when it's not I'm going to say a sidewalk that's a little bit more safe and sturdy. So the imbalance causes some problems. So I do raise that concern, the infrastructure regarding water and storms and things like that. It's, as we look at earthquakes and fires, we also have to look at flooding and some of those things. So whatever we can do to move improvement in that area as well, I'd really appreciate it. And again, thank you to staff. I know you guys have spent endless hours on this, and a lot of effort and a lot of conversations. And as Dr. Carlson said, it has been discussed over and over again. And again, thank you to the residents who have not only called in, but also participated and actually made a vote. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zermania? And I do believe this time it was Councilmember Zermania who seconded the motion. Yes, okay. Go ahead.
I was also driven around Highlands Boulevard by my former boss, president at Chabot College. So that was very interesting. And right immediately, I thought, yes, this needs improvement. I'm very happy that it's finally done. I walked the area out there looking for votes and knocking on doors. And I have a couple of friends up there. So I am very happy that this is happening. And if, as one of the callers said, there's an interest in sidewalks, that certainly can be brought up later on. But of course, some folks don't want sidewalks. They have that country look. So thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Thank you, staff, for this work. Ms. Deputy Clerk, I believe Lopez is your last name. My apologies. Deputy Works, who made the presentation. Thank you all.
Garcia, Director.
Garcia, yes. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Andrews. You're unmute, please.
Thank staff on presenting this and being able to answer all my questions for this item, and particularly thank you to Director of Public Works, Alex Murray. He's always able to answer all my questions to the finest detail. So I love that. Also wanted to thank the community for calling in. A lot of the times decisions like these just kind of pass over, and it was good to hear from the community on why they wanted this item, or why they would consider looking at other options for the community. But also, I just want to highlight that if we do want to present information to this community about sidewalks, just also include the realities of easements and the realities of how long it will take to acquire property to develop sidewalks. Sidewalks are definitely beneficial to the community, but we also just want to make sure that they understand that this is all what it takes in order to make something like that move forward. So I just don't want to give the community a false sense of hope of something that, you know, isn't nice to have, but it may not be a possibility for some properties. So I just echo some of the other members' comments on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Since everyone is so excited about infrastructure, I want to invite everybody to get involved and start participating in the meetings. Our next meeting is April 28th. I think we may be adjusting the time, but please look at the city's website to stay up to date on all capital improvement projects throughout the city of Hayward. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to add my thanks to all of the people who made this happen. And primarily, this was driven by the community, by the Old Highlands Homeowners Association. Mr. Carlson, I think he must have had all of us up there at one time or another separately to really look at the situation. I know most of us are very familiar with the neighborhood anyway, having lots of friends up there and people to visit. And it has sometimes been a challenge. It is to drive through that neighborhood, and especially in the dark has been a challenge for me. So I think, you know, this is going to help in a lot of ways to get some attention to some better roads, some better markings on the road. So especially at night, it will be safer. This is a unique neighborhood, and the history, I think that's what I most appreciated really hearing about as, you know, I met with Mr. Carlson and some others to talk about this issue. The history is interesting and somewhat murky in some ways. But, you know, this neighborhood was annexed at the time that the city was annexing the land that Cal State is now built on. And it really thought of itself as a rural community. And I think that's where you get the opposition. It isn't an attempt to make it more difficult for pedestrians and bicyclers. Keeping the roads as they were, narrow, you know, no sidewalks, it has been presented to me that it gave it that country feel and so I truly hope that doing this work, one of the callers earlier mentioned about so that cars can speed through the neighborhood. That better not happen. It better not happen. And we will go back up there and look at controls if it happens. I don't think it will, because the roads aren't really being widened. They're just being made a little bit safer for people to drive through slowly, as they should in that community. It is not those roads are not meant for speeding. And the thing is that those roads are meant for sharing for all modes, including cars of the people who live there and visit there, but people who want to walk and people who want to ride their bikes. And I hope that that's the spirit with which, you know, these roads will be adopted into that community and shared by all transportation modes. I really want to thank also our staff that worked so hard on this. And I know we've had past staff, past public works directors, past city managers who have tried. You two succeeded, and Ms. Garcia, I don't want to leave you out. So the director and deputy director of our public works department and our city manager also did an outstanding job. I'm sure there were other staff members who participated. Probably finance had something to do with it, but it is quite an achievement this evening. And I know we heard from some of the residents up there earlier this evening, but congratulations to them for achieving this. And we look forward to moving on. And I'm glad that we can be providing this service and participating in getting this project done up in the Old Highlands. And so with that, since we have now gone through our other items this evening, I don't see any hands raised for additional reports. So
we need to vote, don't we?
Oh my gosh, sorry. That's right. There was a motion. This one we do really need to vote on, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, we won't won't be adjourning yet. We will be on the motion by Councilmember Wahab, seconded by Councilmember Zermano. Could you restate that? I would think a member of the staff might do it. It's to do several things. And I'm not.
Staff recommendation.
The staff, yeah, that's true. It is the staff recommendation, but it was a number of elements. So I wanted that on the record.
Approve the final, you want me to state?
Yes, please.
Okay. Approve the final engineer's report, form the Old Highlands Area Road Improvement Assessment District. And other page, sorry. Order levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 2022, and assessments will be collected at the same time of property taxes.
All right, thank you. On that motion, Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamnin.
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez.
Yes.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
Councilmember Wahab.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermano.
Yes.
Mayor Halliday.
Yes. And so I'm glad I didn't forget to have the vote. That would have been a disaster. Sorry about that. I think now we have come to our adjournment. And tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of John D. White Jr., who passed away in June of this year. And I don't know if any of you had known about that, but I had not heard until recently. And, you know, John was a longtime resident of our city and very active in many ways in the community. One of the primary ways being as founder and adjutant finance officer of the American Legion's Hayward Post 870. He served that post in many capacities, and I know many of us, if not all of us, have been to events there that he participated in. And you know, since we're not going to events right now, I guess, you know, we hadn't really seen that he was not there anymore. And he also served as a member of our Hayward Cleaning Green Committee, and also a member of the African American Genealogy Society of Northern California. So maybe it is appropriate that it's taken us this long and we are adjourning the meeting in his honor and memory in the first week of Black History Month. But very, very sad to hear this news. John was a fine gentleman, and I will very much miss seeing him especially at those post events that we get invited to from time to time. And so in honor and memory of, and I, of course, will ask, and in fact, we've already discussed with members of the Post, and we'll be getting in touch with John's family too. We send our condolences to his widow, Beatrice, and his children. We'll have staff work with the Post and with the family to plant a tree in John's memory. Probably it will be somewhere near that Veterans Building. So in honor and memory of John D. White Jr., this meeting is adjourned.